All right. Hey, Emmy.
Hi, Megan.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I need to tell you how much I love my wife.
Tell me I always want to hear about how much you love your wife.
But very specifically because my wife likes to spend her time on Facebook Marketplace.
Uh-oh. Buying or selling?
Buying things.
Great.
And we've had some okay hits and misses before, but she sent us a picture the other day that was like, "Hey, can I get this? I want to buy this." And she sent us a picture of this lamp.
I'm so excited. This could go any number of ways.
It's a chandelier style lamp, okay?
Okay.
So it hangs from a chain, okay? And it sort of is like, it has like 5 or 6 sort of kind of like pieces that come off it, so it kind of looks like an upside down like octopus.
Great.
But the colors are, I feel like the best that I can describe them is like if you'd eaten a bunch of nerds and then you'd puked them up.
Oh, God. That's very visceral. Thank you.
It's neon, but it's faded.
Oh, no.
And so I had originally been like, I was like taking a look at this, and so she was like, "Oh, this reminds me of these lamps that we saw when we were in Vegas." And so she sent me this picture, and I was like,
"Start to a sentence."
And I was like, "I don't think this is the case." And so I just wanted to tell her, I was like, "Look, baby, I am never going to be able to lie to you well enough, so I just need to tell you from the get-go, this is the ugliest chandelier I've ever seen." But I will go get it for you.
If you want me to. That, ladies and gentlemen, is real love.
Yeah. So I ended up on Halloween, actually, right before your party. I went into town and we changed. It was a neighbor who had it. When exchanged it off in a Kaiser parking lot.
Did they refuse to make eye contact with you?
No,
Did they basically just throw it out of the car and drive away quickly?
She was so excited that somebody wanted it, which is what.
Don't worry, it's going to a loving home. We have a lot of rescues in our house.
Yeah,
this lamp included.
Yeah, so Jess wants us to, but the problem is that it's very hefty. So we will need to like actually get someone to screw something up into the ceiling to get it attached. But like I did tell her, I was like, see how much I love you.
I couldn't do it.
That I will bring this lamp to you.
Honestly, the biggest argument for staying single is not to have to look at anyone else's shit in your house.
Yeah. Things that you don't like in your own house.
Right. Stylistically, that's a real challenge.
Yeah.
But I do know that your wife has a very eccentric style.
Yes.
She's high goth, like high industrial, like she's very, very cool in her styling. And has a very artistic taste. So I'm sure the lamp will look amazing.
I'm sure if we could find some other stuff to go with it. Yeah. She and I have slightly different theories of decoration, but it gets along okay. But this was just I was just never going to be able to hide it inside.
Well, maybe it'll be up for a little while and she'll enjoy it for a bit. And then she'll go, you know what?
Yeah.
Clashes with the curtains.
Sure.
Or maybe I'm ready to move on.
Maybe there'll be a tragic earthquake.
We just did not anchor it strong enough, and that's nobody's fault. Anyway.
Love you, sweetie. I love you. I hate the lamp, but I love you. So.
Yeah, no tea, no shade, Jess.
Yeah.
We love you, but apparently your lamp ugly. I don't know what to tell you. Well, today we have a very special episode.
Yes, we do.
This is the episode where we are going to review the winners of our indie author book contest.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to say a little bit about what that contest is?
Yeah, so if you haven't followed us on TikTok yet, follow us on TikTok,
Please.
Okay? Get on there. Make an account.
It's where all the fun stuff is happening.
Yeah, we do little clips and stuff from the episodes. And what we did for this is we have a lot of indie authors who are followers there, and we want to appreciate their work because
we're indie creators.
Yeah, we're indie creators, and they put in really hard work, and they're doing a lot of self-promotion, especially on TikTok. So we get to interact with them a lot. And we wanted to try and highlight some of their work if we could. So we had a competition. What we had is we had people come and pitch us what their book was about. And then we sort of said at the end of a week, whichever pitch has the most likes, the top 2, we would do a full review for a podcast episode.
Exactly.
So that's what we're doing today. So Megan and I have split it up. We've each read one of the books that got the top slots. Yeah. And we're going to review those for you and the authors today. So yeah, we got some fun ones this time.
That's right. So not only are we going to talk about a book today, we're going to talk about 2 books.
It's a twofer.
Twofer. Just like we like our romance novels. Sometimes it's good to have a twofer.
Yeah.
A love triangle, if you will.
Mine's got a love triangle in it. So
Ooh,
yeah.
Very excited for
yeah,
that.
exciting. Yeah. And so I got a Romantacy this time. Again?
I got a contemporary romance.
Okay. So if you remember, about actually 10 episodes ago, we did another indie author review. And that time I did Divine Arrows by Alea Crow.
And I did The Golden Wolf and the Storm Wielder by Tabitha Strickland.
Yeah. And yeah, so we enjoyed getting to read those. And so we wanted to do this one again. And this time, so I got a Romantacy and you got contemporary this time.
I did. And the book that you're doing today is called Asher.
Yes.
By Leann Alyse.
Yes.
And I am doing Obedience, Volume 1 by Lizzie B. Brown.
Oh, who is a hardcore fan of the podcast.
Oh, I was so glad that Lizzie's book ended up winning.
Yes.
Because she comments and engages so much. She's a
delightful
really lovely
follower.
person online.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we've been seeing a lot of her stuff, and she did a Thanksgiving romance novel,
also read.
Which I have read,
not for homework, just for funsies.
I bought a copy of it when we bought the copies for this. Sitting on my coffee table in our living room.
Yes.
And so I may do a small review just on that one, just because it was really cute and delightful.
That's awesome. And just for the record, because it is important to us, for the authors that win these contests, we absolutely always pay for their books to read them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they are always so generous and they offer to send us free copies, we never want indie authors especially to feel like we're doing this podcast to get freebies off of them.
Yeah.
We ourselves, of course, are also indie creators. So
yeah.
we completely understand how important it is to support artists doing their art. So we always buy copies. And then that also makes us feel a little bit freer to do an honest review.
Yeah, to do an honest review. Yeah, we've paid for it,
It's like going to a restaurant, right?
Yes.
If they've comped your whole meal, there's an expectation maybe. It's better if you're going to do a review, just pay the money for it, and then that way you can be unbiased.
And also, we're raising all ships kind of a thing with those indie authors. Yeah. So we're happy to buy a copy from everybody. And so now, and we'll add those to the bookshelf. Yeah, we got the 2 previous winners up here on the shelf, and so they will get to join on the winners shelf.
The winner shelf.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a little winner shelf now. The only other bit of housekeeping I think we need to do before we dive into the reviews is just to let you guys know it's coming up on the holidays, and we are human, and also
we have lives.
We have families. Emmy's family also suffered a loss recently.
I have to bury my father.
Yes, with all of the pomp and circumstance that Mike deserves.
Yes.
And so we have decided to take a holiday break from this long form content.
Yeah.
It's going to help us just kind of recuperate. The pace of putting out these episodes on a weekly basis is really, really intense.
Yeah.
Especially because this is not the full-time job that either of us have.
True fact. Yes. We definitely do this in between our other jobs.
Exactly. So we're going to take a break for the holidays. It's going to let us kind of recharge. It may let us get ahead of some episodes. And it's also going to, I think, give us a chance to maybe experiment with the format a little bit.
Yes.
We're thinking about ways that we can keep bringing you content on a regular basis, that don't necessarily have to be these
in a single book every single
format.
week. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to take a little break. Don't expect to see any new podcast episodes from us until the new year.
We'll have actually one more
next
week, but it'll be a special episode.
I'm on vacation, so I will not be able to contribute to that one. So you're going to get a special Emmy and wife Jess episode.
Yeah, we're going to
review.
You can
get in the comments and tell her how ugly her lamp is.
Yes. I'll bring the lamp.
Of the lamp.
I will bring the lamp and I will make you all vote.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. We're going to be covering Lady Chatterley's Lover, actually, which is a classical, a book from the 1920s, a romance book.
It's getting a reprint.
It is. Yes. Yeah, we got copies from a publisher for a reprint, and we're excited to review it and talk about it. So yeah, you'll get to hear me and my lovely wife's Jess English accent next time we do an episode. Yeah.
She is from Bradford.
Yes.
Although think she has said she doesn't sound like
she
someone
does
from
not.
Bradford.
No. She has a really funky accent because she's sort of been all over. And
I love her accent.
me too.
I think it's very sexy.
She appreciates being in the U.S. because everyone loves
It's
her
exotic.
accent. Yeah, in the UK, people are being a bit mean to her about the accent, but not here. We just love Brits.
Because we can't tell the difference.
Exactly.
We don't know how high, low, or what kind of brow you are.
Hey, you're fancy if you come from England. That's all we got to say.
Exactly. All right.
So, shall we talk about a book?
We shall. And today, Emmy is going to go first.
All right. So the book that I got the honor of reviewing was Asher by Leann Alyse, and it was 520 pages, so a little bit of a chunky one, and it is the first of 3 books in the Asher series, which I do think all 3 of them are out, so I think it's a complete series. So if you're ready to binge it, you got the time, you got the opportunity.
I love a finished series.
Me too. I'm like number 2 of a trilogy. Pass. I'll wait.
Yeah,
I'll wait. But
same.
This case, we got the finished trilogy.
I'm that way with TV shows too.
Me too.
I just want to wait till they're all out.
Me too. I'd rather just wait until it's over. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Let me binge it at my own pace. Don't make me wait every single week.
Exactly.
This is a romantasy that has a love triangle between a fondling healer named Alora Katz, the Fae King Flynn, and the Vampire King Zane. This is a medium, spicy, plot-heavy tale that centers on Alora coming to grips with the fact that she is destined to wield the legendary sword Asher, a blade that is forged for healers that can kill vampires with just a touch. We have a trained fighter as the FMC who is aggressively being courted by 2 kings who seek to manipulate her and use her powers to their own ends. This book has multiple POVs, and you get to hear from all of the leads, including Anya, Alora's sister, who also goes on her own adventure at the same time. The setting is a world of creatures that is caught between the rule of vampires and fae. The story begins in the kingdom of the vampires, and you get to see a world that is run by blood-sucking immortals and what it would be like, and I actually thought that setting was fairly compelling. We also get to see the kingdom of the fae, which sort of seems like it would be a dream in comparison to the vampires, but it has its own issues because it is being run by people who have just sort of been bucking their responsibilities for a really long time. Alora starts as this rudderless boat on a tumultuous sea, and she spends the whole book fighting to gain control over her own life. Everyone around her wants to use her for one end or another, and her only focus up to this point in life has just been making it to another day. This is only part 1 of the series, but Alora does have a lot of character growth over the book, and I'm sure she will only continue to grow as she continues through the rest of the books. The spice rating for this book, I'm gonna go with a 3. One of the romances is a slow burn, and the other is an instant chemistry, so you get both of those sides of it in the book. However, the other half of the love triangle doesn't actually show up until about halfway through the book. So actually for the first portion of the book, I actually thought this was going to end up being a closed-door romance. But then as soon as the second lead shows up, like the spice starts going off. So for the amount of spice that's in the book, I'm going to give it a 3.
But it's backloaded.
It is. Yeah, it's all at the second half. And it is, when they do get to it, it's very hot. The rainbow rating for this book is going to be a 2. There is a character in this book that is queer, but I can't really talk about who that is or what their whole thing is because that's a bit of a spoiler. They do exist in the book, but there is no representation of a queer romance in this particular book. But I do think that the author is setting that up to explore that in the future, so maybe the other books will have a higher rainbow rating. But, 2's not a bad place to start with. Yeah. Unlike our normal reviews where we tell you basically the plot of what's the book up until about the end, I'm only going to tell you a little bit about this one, about sort of the vibes, maybe a bit about what the story is, but I'm definitely not going to spoil even maybe like the second half of the book because we want you guys to check these out and read them. And obviously
it's going to be more of a teaser.
It's more of a teaser about it, talking about it rather this time. So yeah, stick with us and we'll tell you all about Asher when we return from our little break.
One of the great privileges we've had since launching Smut in public has been meeting authors and fellow creators who share our love of spicy romance.
We find new book besties every day, and supporting their work helps us all build a community together.
Our new book bestie, Ari, runs the Spicy Romance Book Club. It's an online apparel brand with cozy fits, perfect to wear as you curl up with the next book on your TBR list.
The Spicy Romance Book Club is a small, female, POC-led business, and Smut in Public listeners can enjoy 15% off their entire store order with promo code SMUTINPUBLIC.
Find your next book bestie by wearing your love of spicy romance literally on your sleeve. Right, good girl?
Megan, you're making me blush. Save it for the episode.
Okay, fine. Visit thespicyromancebookclub.com and use promo code SMUTINPUBLIC for 15% off your entire order. See you at the bookstore.
Allura lives in Tanber, a border city in the kingdom of Geronti that is surrounded by high walls. Inside, the citizens are given a class rating from birth, which denotes what kinds of jobs they can have, and their general societal standing. Both Allura and her sister Anya are Class E citizens, which means they're a middling servant class that are allowed to work at low jobs in stores and inns. They're both fawnlings, a kind of deer-like humanoid that have tall ears as well as small tails. I imagine them to look something a bit like Gus from Sweet Tooth on Netflix, if you've happened to seen that.
Adorable.
Yeah, so just missing the antlers, though, because they're both girls. They're sort of demi-fae species. They're basically immortal as long as nothing kills them, and they do have the ability sometimes to wield magic. Allura has illegal healing powers, which she has been keeping secret for her whole life, because revealing them will be an instant death sentence. Geronti is ruled by vampires, and specifically by King Zane, a callous murderer who took the throne a few hundred years ago when the continent was split after a stalemate between vampires and fae. The vampires built a giant wall around their section to separate their humans from the fae kingdom Arizona. It sounds a little bit like Arizona, but it's spelled differently. I actually kind of liked that, to be honest with you, Arizona. Anyway, and the vampires have been ruling over Geronti with an iron fist ever since. The ruling class is only vampires, so only those of high rank have the opportunity to be embraced as a vampire. And everyone underneath is just basically shoveling upwards for the ruling class. Both Allura and Anya work crappy nighttime jobs in the rough part of town, and they spend their days sharpening their fighting skills, which their mother taught them in secret. Their mother, who definitely did not believe in gentle parenting, trained the girls in fighting, poisons, and just in general survival. While they've never had occasion to use these skills, they have been practicing ever since their mother was killed, because she was forced to reveal that she was a healer, and the guards basically killed her instantly when they found out. Their mother put them through some really horrible stuff, like she would stab Anya, the older sister, and then force Allura to heal her. And so because of that, like, they're really close. There was some real trauma bonding between these two siblings. And so they basically, their entire life just revolves around each other. So they had a really good sibling relationship from the get-go.
I'm glad that that kind of behavior didn't turn them against each other.
Yes.
Because I could see it being like, I'm getting stabbed because of your stupid powers.
Yeah.
Situation.
Oh, absolutely. I did sort of wonder, I was like, was there going to be some secret resentment or something like that? And no, that's not the way it ended up going, but it does. It was a really interesting character dynamic between the two of them. Yeah. At the beginning of the story, Anya is dating a city guard named Coda, who is of the C rank. He'd be able to bring both Anya and Allura's rank up if he married Anya, but like 3 years worth of dating, and he has still not popped the question yet. Anya has been pretending to be in love with Coda for the past few years because she understands that the only way that she and her sister are getting out of the slums is if she marries upwards. So she's actually been holding out on Coda. There's been some forced celibacy before marriage. She's like, oh, the gods said that we can't have sex before marriage. And he's like, guess I'm going home alone again tonight. And so she's been stringing him along for a long time, basically, hoping that by not giving it up, it'll finally get him down on his knees. Allura's working as a barmaid in town one night when an injured Fae man stumbles into her bar at closing time. Seeing that he's on the brink of death, she decides to break her own rules and she heals him, hoping that he's just going to take the win and not ask any questions. And it turns out, though, that the man that she healed is the king of the Fae, and he has been secretly making trips into Geronti and saving people who were enslaved to vampires. And he thanks her by giving her this lovely kiss before they suddenly depart. And she's just sort of like, hope that's the last I ever see of that guy. But of course, he shows up again, basically a week afterwards. He kidnaps her, and he takes her across the border into the Fae kingdom of Arizona.
Because he's saving her.
Oh, yes.
Obviously.
He's like, why would you want to live in this horrible vampire kingdom? Completely. You know what? Fair play, actually. When they arrive in Issa, the Fae capital, King Flynn tells Allura that his ancestor originally ended the Fae War with a magical blade named Asher that was wielded by a fondling healer like herself. It's the reason that healing magic is outlawed in Geronti, and now that Flynn has found a new healer, he wants to unite her with Asher and have her destroy Zane and the vampires forever.
That's a lot of pressure to put on some lady you just met.
Yeah, I know we just met and this is crazy, but would you save my kingdom maybe?
So good.
Oh my god, I love that song. But Allura has no interest in going to war. She's lived her entire life in Geronti, and she understands that even though life under the vampires is horrible, war would be absolutely worse. While she does find herself attracted to King Flynn, she resists him and his charms, knowing that all he wants from her is to manipulate her into using Asher. Back in Tanber, Anya is facing awkward questions because Allura's disappearance makes it seem as though she has willfully run away. She clings closer to Coda now because she needs his connections as a guard to keep her safe in the city. With her sister gone and now only having to elevate only one fondling status, Coda finally decides to put a ring on it, and he proposes to Anya. And that's so great because, like, that's everything that she's wanted forever, right? You know, to go up in status. But, you know, Anya, she thinks about it for a while and she's like, you know what? Going up in status means absolutely nothing if my sister isn't here to enjoy it. So she starts trying to look for her sister and figuring out where she went. She's able to make contact with a smuggler, but the price she has to pay is leveraging Coda's guard status and scoring her way into a holiday party where she's going to have to murder a vampire duke.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, again, hey, just asking women really just a lot of heavy things here that you've just met.
I'm worried she might not be qualified for that assignment.
That's a fair question because the women in this world are not allowed to like train with weapons. So it's a big ask. Yeah.
I feel like that implies they know more about her.
Yes. So her actions end up pulling Coda into her mess. And she really has to confront how far she's willing to go to keep up this ruse with Coda, and if she's honestly willing to marry him just for societal gain. Meanwhile, in the Fae Kingdom, Allura discovers that the sword Asher is back in Geronti. While she doesn't want to start a war for Flynn, she does feel as though Asher is her birthright. And when she gets the opportunity, she makes her way back to Geronti, where she's discovered and brought into the custody of King Zane.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yes. She steps 1 foot back at home and instantly arrested. Yeah. Unlike with Flynn, where her attraction is sort of a simmering boil, Allura and Zane's attraction is explosive. Despite being his prisoner, their immediate chemistry for each other disrupts both of their plans. Allura is stuck between a Fae king she longs for, the vampire king she desires, and the sword which she knows holds her destiny. So that's all I'm going to say about
Fabulous.
Yeah.
What a great setup.
Thank you. Yes, I think she did a pretty good job at putting this all together.
I'm invested.
Yeah. Thank you. Good job to the writer on this one. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this book.
I think it's so funny that you ended up with the two sisters, two love stories book again.
Again. Yeah. Although this time it was slightly different because one sister is very much having the antithesis of a love story. Right. She has I've got this dude and how do I get rid of him? But yeah, I did think it was hilarious that I somehow ended up with the double sister romantasy again. So, things that I loved about this book. This book starts out strong, okay? The world which Anya and Allura live in is reminiscent of sort of like The Handmaid's Tale, 1984, like even The Hunger Games. The desperation that the two fondlings live with make it hard to really blame Anya for stringing poor Coda along for years when he is literally her only ticket out. You sort of see as time goes on that Anya is the one who's pulling the weight in the entirety of the relationship. And Coda brings basically only his rank and like his finger skill, which are not good enough, honestly, to keep Anya very enthralled with him for very long.
Poor Coda.
Yeah, I know.
Step up your pussy, Coda.
Coda, when we are not impressed, okay? Anya and Allura's bond feels really genuine, and the ends that they go to get back to each other do actually feel very authentic. You get to see the journey and growth from both sisters' perspectives, and I think that the balance between watching one sister fall for her captors while the other one is regretting being in a relationship who's with a guy who's basically her meal ticket gives this book like a really good balance and a depth that I really just don't normally see in romance books. I personally love seeing relationships when they go badly.
Totally.
In romance
I love
novels.
complicated relationships.
Yes. And so I do think that for the amount of that Allura is falling in love, the amount that Anya is basically not falling in love, I thought was a really good, it was a sweet and sour kind of a thing, and it worked out really well in the balance. The idea of a healer wielding a special sword that can kill the undead was a really cool concept, and I liked that this was Allura's destiny. She's given the opportunity to choose between love with men and a destiny that's her own, and I really liked that she was given that choice of a path to take. And I thought, again, something you don't normally get to see in romance novels is that she maybe gets to choose to not be with anybody, right? Really liked that.
At least it's not pre-described and so clear who she will end up with, and frankly, that she will end up with somebody at all. That doesn't feel predestined. Which is a really cool.
And I really enjoyed that part of the book. I really liked the idea of the fondlings, these sort of dainty deer women with these cute little ears, and sort of the duality of them being these tiny little deer ladies, but also fierce killers.
Bambi's revenge.
It was, yes. It's an absolute
kill my mother, will you?
I'll come out, yeah, shotgun. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the fondlings, and there's also like a little detail that she has a little tiny tail.
Little baby tails can be very expressive.
So cute. Yeah. I'd never heard of a fondling before, and I was instantly into the idea. Loved it so much. I thought the book had really good pacing and enough page count so that both love interests get enough screen time to make it interesting. I did like both of the love interests, even though love triangles is not normally my preferred romance sort of, configuration. But I also appreciate that Allura gets to have sex with both of the men, because that's not normally what happens, I think, in a lot of romance novels. It's kind of a one dick policy for a lot of these books. So,
unless you're in like a wide choose.
Exactly.
Which this is not going
to be a wide choose. So I really appreciated that, basically if any FMC that gets to sleep around, 10 points.
Shame free.
Yeah.
I love that too.
And the last thing that I wanted to say that I really enjoyed about this book is that they have a very good depiction of conversations about family planning. They were very progressive and very nuanced. And I don't want to say any more about it than that, but I really approved of how this book ended. So some things that I had some thoughts on. While I didn't have any issues with either love interest, I did feel it stretched belief like a little bit that the FMC spends over a month running away from the Fae King, only to basically fall on the Vampire King's dick in like less than 12 hours.
Look, that poor woman had waited long enough. Yeah. Okay, the dam was broken.
Yeah, there's like instant chemistry, and then there's sort of like, forcing some love connection, and it did feel a little bit closer to that. And the book was actually so low spice that up to that point, I had just assumed that there wasn't going to be any romance in the book, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 it's just spicy right to the end. So, it was okay, but I did feel like I maybe needed a little bit more resistance on her end, because, it just sort of felt like she forgot all about those public executions that she'd witnessed because she saw his pretty face. So that was a bit like,
I mean, girl, same.
Look, man, he had gorgeous eyes.
I just call him like I see him.
There's also this kind of a cute part where King Zane says, "Hey, I may be an evil vampire king, but even I believe in a woman's right to choose."
Snaps for Zane.
And this does really lead to some really good character development, but it did sort of feel like maybe they were rehabilitating his character a little bit. There were times where you could almost feel the hand of the author reaching into the story to move people around and do things that didn't sort of make sense for their character. Like, for example, there's a scene where Allura has been at the Fae court, and she has been just now warned that she cannot reveal to anyone that she's a healer or that she is there. And she ends up going to this masquerade party, and a person falls off of a balcony, and she runs out, rips off her mask, and heals them right in front of everyone. And right after this, Allura does have a conversation with herself that goes, Why did I do that? I could have waited until he was alone, right? I didn't even maybe necessarily need to heal him. He probably would have gotten better by himself. I could have kept the mask on, right? And it did sort of kind of go like, yeah, that's a really good point. Why did you do any of these things? There were some parts like that took me sort of out of the moment of the book. But my final thoughts on this book, 4 stars. 4 stars. This is a world that she's written that was really easy for me to picture in my head, and I am interested in seeing where it goes. Like, I like the difference in the personalities of the 2 sisters between Alora and Anya, and I enjoyed getting to see their different journeys and would love to see where their character growth goes to. I could easily see myself picking up the other 2 books of these series, and there was plenty of story and action to make up for the lower spice rating. Although, again, the spice scenes, even though they were clustered at the end, were hot. They were hot. So this one, I definitely suggest it. It was well worth a read from me, and I would happily suggest it to any of our followers.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, that was Asher by Leann Alyse.
Thank you.
And now we are going to move on to the second winner of our Indie Author Book Contest. The second book that we are reviewing today is Obedience, Volume 1 by Lizzie B. Brown. It is an incredibly slim 246 pages. There is a part 2. I think it's just a 2-part series. I haven't seen a part 3. Mm-hmm. And part 2 is already out and available. So if you end up enjoying volume 1, roll right on into volume 2. Mm-hmm. Obedience is an ongoing romance serial that was written for Kindle Vella, which I have never heard of.
Oh,
I
assume
it's pronounced like novella,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like shorter. And it's also available on Lizzie B. Brown's Patreon. And this book is the first 24, what she calls episodes, combined and reformatted for this novelized version. And a couple content warnings. This is a contemporary romance that has an age gap relationship. It features Joshua, who is a 40-year-old college professor, and Cassie, who is his 21-year-old student. And as the title implies, dominance and submission are, pretty heavily featured, with Cassie actually being the dominant partner of the pair, which I appreciated. The book is a dual POV, plus there's one interesting chapter, in the last third that is Eddie, Joshua's best friend, which I'll talk about as I get into the story.
Okay.
This author very clearly gives the readers a heads up that this is not meant to be a guidebook for a healthy dom-sub relationship.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she goes, hey, this is a dynamic that's new for both of the characters, and there's absolutely some immaturity, bordering on toxicity in their relationship. So don't stress about it and feel like this is trying to be a rubric for how to do relationships like this. And they do work through some of that stuff, I think over the course of this story and I assume on into volume 2. The spice rating for this book is absolutely a 5.
Okay, all right.
5 all the way. Chapter 1 kicks off with oral sex in a bathroom and it stays at a 5 the whole time.
All right.
The trade-off of that, of course, is that there really is not a lot of plot or character development, especially not in, 250-ish pages.
Right.
Rainbow rating is going to be a 1. There is nothing queer relevant about this book, but there's nothing in the setting, that prevents queer romance from happening at some point in the future. It's a normal, modern kind of contemporary story.
All right.
And since this book is one of the shortest that we've reviewed, I'm just going to give the spoiler warning now, because really anything that I talk about this book is a spoiler warning.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you have been warned. At the beginning of this book, it is summer break, and Joshua's long-term relationship with a woman named Janet has ended. It was a bad breakup for him, mostly because Janet broke up with him over the phone with really no explanation on why she was ending their multi-year relationship. And then she completely disappeared and kind of ghosted him. That would absolutely traumatize me too, for the record. Like, it's one thing to get broken up with over the phone by like a situationship or like it's been 8 months.
Right. But like your life partner.
Whatever. Like, right. They had been dating for a long time.
Uh-huh.
So kind of fucked up, Janet.
Yeah.
I don't know what your deal is. Maybe we'll find out in part 2. But going into the beginning of the book, Joshua is absolutely still kind of traumatized by this having happened because it's only really been 3 months, right? That kind of happened at the beginning of summer. And now 3 months later, summer break is almost over. Now, Joshua and his best friend Eddie are in another state. They're enjoying, the last few days of summer, trying to just have fun at the beach. And Eddie we can tell that Eddie has been giving Joshua a really hard time about not embracing his new single life because Eddie's kind of a hit it and quit it energy person. So he knows how much he would be rampaging, which he does every day. Eddie is also single, for the record. And he really wanted this bros trip to be them like Eiffel Towering people probably and like
spring break,
right? He was like, let's go to Florida, let's get all the hot girls into bikinis and let's get a room with a hot tub and let's go, son. And Joshua is like, I'm sad.
It's just been like the mopey crying best friend
exactly. It has not been the vacation that Eddie signed up for.
Right. I'm imagining him being like hot on the beach and all ready to go and the other guy's just crying.
He's just sitting under a beach umbrella, frowning like Eeyore.
All right, that's a good setup.
Yeah, 100%. That's the energy. And Joshua won't even exchange numbers with Daphne, a hot waitress at the bar they've been visiting a few times because he's just not in the energy for it. But Eddie will not lay off Joshua. And finally, he's like, fine. Why don't you pick a random person at this bar? I will go over, I will shoot my shot, and then you can leave me alone about this for the rest of the night, please. And so Eddie picks the hottest, youngest looking girl in the room and goes, that one. And Joshua was like, well, good news. This isn't going to work. So,
right.
Sounds perfect. So he walks over to this incredibly hot babe. She's, blonde. She's sun-kissed. She's, got the scent of the ocean on her, right? She's like she's got sand, on her legs. And he, flirts with her, offers to buy her a drink. And she basically looks him down, looks him up and goes, instead of a drink, how about we go in the bathroom together? And just walks off straight into the bathroom.
Wow. Bold.
Fully expecting that he's going to follow her.
Wow.
And in her defense, I would follow her.
Yeah.
That is a pickup line that would work on me.
You, as we know from our Lights Out episode, you appreciate boldness, Megan.
I appreciate boldness because I myself am bold. Yes. So Joshua and this anonymous hottie lock themselves into the public bathroom at this bar. And Joshua is really out of his element, but thankfully she is completely confident and takes charge of the situation immediately and basically tells him to get on his knees and pleasure her.
Oh my God.
Which he does. Loudly.
Wow.
Joshua doesn't have any condoms though. And she's like, that's okay. You can just touch yourself from me.
Oh my God. Girl, get it.
And I want to say again, chapter 1.
Oh my God.
Starting strong. Also, since you're already giggling and embarrassed, I cannot emphasize enough how obvious it would be that they were having sex in this bathroom to the bar, because there is a quote from the book that is, her voice is getting hoarse from all her screams of ecstasy. And I am shocked that someone has not called the police or at minimum just come and knocked and been like, hey,
sweetie, you okay in there?
Either are you okay or you guys cannot be doing that in here. To be fair, this is Florida, so I'm sure much worse has happened in that bathroom.
Oh, that's fair.
But I remember you and I were at dinner and we were talking about how the books were going, and I mentioned this scene and I was like, Emmy, hold on, I'm gonna go into the bathroom of this sushi restaurant real quick. And I'm just gonna assess how comfortable my volume can be before I am 100% sure that someone out there is gonna hear me. And screams of ecstasy is not the level I thought I could get to before my embarrassment would reel me back in. So a pretty intense start.
The kitchen is right next to the bathroom at that sushi restaurant.
It's 10 feet away. The chefs would be like,
yeah, what's going on in there? As they're cutting up the fish.
Oh my God. Some poor sushi chef slices his hands oh, I heard a moan of ecstasy. I'm sorry, I was temporarily distracted.
I love it. It was
so good. So they depart in stages. Like, she leaves and then him. And Joshua makes really awkward eye contact with Daphne, the waitress who had been flirting with him, because she 1,000,000% could hear them fucking in that bathroom. And then he's basically like, Eddie, we gotta go. Run. We gotta go and we gotta never come back here.
Right. Won't take my number, but's happy to fuck some lady in the bathroom.
Exactly. That's hashtag justice for Daphne.
Yeah, that's gonna be her red flag story for the rest of her life.
Yeah. If Daphne does not get some kind of follow-up and closure, I will riot.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Anyway, that's a wrap on Florida. And with this sexy interlude having been achieved, it is now time to go back to school several states away. No harm, no foul. Right?
Right.
But you know that we're here for Smut.
Yes.
So on the first day of school, Joshua, aka Professor Grant, is welcoming students to his creative writing class, and in walks in the blonde goddess from the bar. Her name is Cassie, and she is a third-year student at Professor Grant's university. Now, Cassie pulls a baller move and does not acknowledge his existence at all.
Dang.
Which is insane.
Dang, girl.
I love Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
And out of desperation to get her attention, or like for her to acknowledge that she even remembers him, right? Because this like affected him.
Right.
And he's like, what if she doesn't even know that that's me? He decides to assign a writing prompt that is eye contact for an in-person, like in-class essay.
Uh-huh.
Now, later, when Professor Grant is rating the assignment, he gets to Cassie's paper and realizes that it is a detailed blow-by-blow recounting of their bathroom encounter.
Oh, no!
That she has turned in as an assignment. Another baller-ass move.
Oh, man. This seems like one of those things where she is so out of his league on so many levels.
100%. She is untouchable.
Oh, wow.
This lady is an icon.
Okay.
I love her.
Love it.
So he immediately masturbates, and actually he gets some on the paper.
I was just about to say.
And then he panics and he's like, oh God, out, damn spot.
Is he dabbing it with a tissue?
Yes. It's so good. Oh, and he tells himself, okay, I have to tell her she has to drop this class. There is no way I'm going to survive an entire semester of this. I can't take it. We can never see each other again. So he emails her and is like, come to my office. He like summons her.
Oh, all right.
To his office, which is a choice.
I was just going to say bold for somebody who we know who is not bold.
For a girl who's been topping him from the second he laid eyes on her. Yeah. Bold of him to think that he can summon her. So that goes exactly as you would expect it to. And we do get that scene in Cassie's POV. And we start to get more of a picture of who she is as a person. And obviously not all of this comes out in the first scene, but this comes out over time. And we learn that she is from a very wealthy and influential family. Like think Kennedys or the Vanderbilts. Like someone where if you heard the last name, you would immediately know who they were.
Right.
And that puts a ton of pressure on her to sort of succeed and to act right and to stay in the good graces of her family, because her future is quite literally at stake if she does not act the way that they want her to act. And it's like they're rich enough to have a wing of the university named after them.
Right.
And there's 100% the implication that especially at school, when people learn who she is, they change the way they act around her, both students and professors. So it's something that she tries not to share. And she spends the whole book not sharing it with Joshua. If when that conflict comes to a head, it's going to be in part 2. Mm-hmm. Cassie, part of the explanation for why Cassie is doing this sort of dom sub initiation with Joshua is that Cassie feels like a lot of her life is outside of her control. And this thing with, the professor is giving her that very desperately needed sense of control that she's been craving. So when he summons her only to tell her to drop his class, she goes, no. In fact, you can either spend every class knowing that you're the one touching me or wondering who is.
Oh, God. Dang.
It's real strong.
Dang.
It's real strong. So the game of cat and mouse is on, right, between the two of them. They have a ton of encounters like this, both in school and in other places. And they really, really have to play it cool in public, though, because Josh's job is on the line. And even though Cassie doesn't talk about this openly, the scrutiny of her family is also looming large in her mind, and being caught up in a, sleeping with your professor, hot for teacher situation at the university is not going to look good for her family either. Now, the main conflict in this story that, Joshua and Cassie have is kind of navigating this dom-sub dynamic. It is honestly new for both of them. Cassie is not experienced in BDSM culture or kink or even necessarily consent culture. She really took on this persona very instinctually because of her desire to feel in control in that moment. And Joshua has never been a submissive in this way, but he does find it a relief to be told exactly what Cassie wants when she wants it. But, they do have to find their footing through some minor miscommunications. Joshua, for example, does not love when she says, "I'm punishing you." Like, that's not language that he resonates with, because it really stresses him out, like this idea of having failed at something and then needing to be punished for it.
Yeah.
And I liked that conversation.
Because it's not everybody's king.
Exactly. And I really liked that because again, even though the characters acknowledge that they don't know a lot about that BDSM space, it does give us as the readers an understanding that there is nuance and that all BDSM or all kink is not one thing. Right. You can be into this, but not into that. And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
I thought that was some cool nuance. There are some side characters that factor into this story, believe it or not, in the page count. We got a few. So also in the creative writing class is someone named Jonathan. And I just want to say I wish it had not been a second J name, Jonathan and Joshua.
Yeah.
It would have been easier to remember these two characters separately. And he seems like a pretty normal college guy who has a crush on Cassie. And even though she isn't flirting back, she is being nice to him and polite, which he, of course, interprets as, "I got a shot."
Take a win, yeah.
And that causes some discomfort, both for Cassie, just on her own, but then also for Joshua in the context of his secret relationship with Cassie, because of course Jonathan can sit next to her in class. Jonathan can put his arm around her when they're walking down the hallway, and the professor can't do any of that. And so he feels kind of jealous of Jonathan until they figure out more about the parameters of their boundaries. And the biggest time that this conflict happens is there's a scene where everybody ends up at a bowling alley at the same time. Cassie and Jonathan and a bunch of the students, and then Joshua and his friend Eddie and Eddie's friend Carla all end up there together. And of course, Joshua is already feeling like a third wheel. He's kind of like on someone else's semi-date, not date. And then the girl that he's pining over and hasn't had sex with yet is over there with some dude who's got his arm around her. Right. So awkward. Now, again, book one is very short and it's only a part one. The entire story takes place, I think, really just during the first week of school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the story peak is when Joshua and Cassie finally spend the night together on Saturday at the end of the first week. Now, don't worry. It is extremely spicy before they seal the deal. So you don't have to wait that long. You will not be disappointed. And we are left at the end of the book on a cliffhanger when an unnamed female walks into Professor Grant's office at the end of the final chapter, and they clearly know each other. It is not stated who this person is, but my obvious guess is that it's probably his ex, Janet. But we'll find out in part two. So some things that I really enjoyed about this book. Lizzie, you can write spice oh my God. You know, if you want to read smut, or honestly, like you just want to read some erotica that doesn't have a lot of story that's getting in the way,
right,
pick this up, right? This is a great
right,
palate cleanser read for sure. If you're like going between really heavy, you know, romantacies that were kind of a slog. And even though there is a, you know, an age gap and a power imbalance relationship, I never got the ick from this. I thought that the, you know, the characters were great. And I loved having a younger female seem like the more experienced and confident partner.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun to turn that like teacher-student relationship dynamic on its head. And of course, the dual POV always really helps deliver on that as well. And for the record, I am a fan fiction reader. I have an account on AO3, which is Archive of Our Own. For anyone that doesn't know what fanfic is or hasn't read it, AO3 is fantastic. And so I can imagine it was really fun to read this story one chapter at a time as it was coming out, and then have to like wait for the next chapter. But it does change, I think, how you write, because each chapter has to fully stand on its own, because it could be a week or much longer before you release the next page, you know, before you release the next chapter, the next episode. So it reads differently than a novel is the only way I can explain that, because of the format of how it was originally put out. I liked both Cassie and Joshua a lot. I thought they were very well written, fully realized characters with clear motivation and sort of why they're engaging in this relationship dynamic and why it's very compelling. And their reactions to each of the conflicts and setbacks felt very realistic to me. So I loved that. Now, a couple things that I have strong opinions on. And I'm so sorry to be so blunt about this, but I hated Eddie, the best friend, almost instantaneously. He was insufferable. And then I only hated him more when we had his one POV chapter with him and Carla. And I did not understand the draw for Carla to Eddie in any way.
Girl, why are you here?
I don't get it. So they are described as being best friends who instantly clicked at work, but everything about Eddie's personality seems like someone who can't be friends with women, and that he exudes that energy of I don't know how to be friends with women. And he even talks about the fact that Carla sent him some bathing suit photos once from like a trip she was on, and he was like, I'm not going to jerk off to him. I'm not going to jerk off to him. So it was like, this is not the energy.
Yeah.
And women can pick up on that energy.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand why Carla is giving this person the time of day.
Right.
Especially when Eddie gives off a love him and leave him energy to everyone, including Carla.
Right.
So that pairing was a little strange for me. And unfortunately, again, it's a page count issue, but Carla does not get enough development for me to understand why that relationship is budding there. And probably the worst thing that I read, Eddie calls her sweet cakes like all the time.
Oh.
So much, like half a dozen times in his single chapter. It's an unreal number of sweet cakes references. It's a cool baker's dozen of sweet cakes.
It's one of those things where romance novels always give a girl like a cute nickname or something like that. Yeah. But I don't want that to be it.
Do not love a man that calls you sweet cakes.
Yeah.
It was no bueno. Yeah. So again, they don't get a ton of screen time. This is Joshua and Cassie's story. But from what I saw of those characters, I'm not especially excited to read more about them if there was going to be more content about them, because Eddie was just written too insufferably for me to survive. He didn't have enough nuance. Overall, I am going to give this book a 3.5. I definitely enjoyed what I read. When I have time, I will get to part 2. But part 1 was all set up, right? And very little conflict. It was probably hard to decide how many chapters to collect for this novelization. And it is a little bit tough maybe to translate that serial format into a novel format. But again, if you want a quick read, a palate cleanser, and something that's extremely high quality, spicy scenes, I think that Obedience is a wonderful novel to pick up.
Well, cool. We've been peeping on it for a while with Lizzie on TikTok, so I'm really glad that
me too.
Finally got a chance to read it.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. Yeah. And thank you so much, Leann.
Yeah.
To Lizzie and Leann for sharing your wonderful work with us.
Yeah.
It honestly is so great that you're putting out these creations into the world.
Yes.
It takes a lot of bravery to put your work out there and receive the scrutiny of others and to voluntarily sign up for us to review your book. You know, I appreciate that. So
any author that's willing to do the work, manage to get something published and then have to sit there and self-promote it, like
so much respect.
Yeah, so much respect. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And so we enjoyed these books. Thank you so much for letting us read them. And to all of our other listeners, hey, check these out if these sound interesting to you.
100%.
Yeah,
you should.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, like we said, we're going to take a little break for the holidays.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to be reading some more smut and we're going to report back.
Yes, we will.
Bye.
Bye.